Have you ever thought to yourself, I wonder what it would be like if Teamfight Tactics and Slay the Spire got mashed together into a glorious roguelike Autobattler? No? Me either, but man am I glad that I got it, and I'm going to tell you why you will be too. Now let's dive into The Last Flame. How's it going, guys? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. The Last Flame is an auto-battler roguelike that is being developed by Hotloop, a solo developer with a ton of passion for the genre. The game was released into early access on Steam on January 18th. I've had the pleasure of speaking with the developer on multiple occasions, and he's a really nice guy. He was kind enough to provide me with a key to the game so that I can review it here for you guys. That being said, this video isn't sponsored at all, and all of my opinions are my own, and I'm not being paid to make this review. As always, I will have everything broken up into chapters for easy navigation. I'm really excited about The Last Flame, and it ticks a ton of boxes for me personally, and even though it's technically in early access, it doesn't feel like it at all. I've honestly seen some games that have been in active development and early access for years that don't have as much polish as this, and that makes me really excited for what the future holds for this one. As I mentioned earlier, The Last Flame is an auto-battler roguelike that pulls inspiration from games like Teamfight Tactics and Dota Underlords and puts a Slay the Spire twist on it. There are currently 3 game modes available: Ascension, Endless, and Challenge. The Ascension mode is the main game mode and requires you to beat the current difficulty level before unlocking the next one. Endless mode is exactly what it sounds like. You play through a run, and upon completion you are able to continue the run through endless waves to see how far your build can go. Finally, the challenge mode allows you to test your skills by presenting you with different challenges that have a variety of run modifiers to make the game more difficult. When you initially launch a run, you will draft 2 heroes from a massive roster of characters, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. After you've chosen your heroes, you will be hit with a tutorial that will help explain all of the systems at play and how to best interact with them. This tutorial does a fairly good job at showing you the ropes while not holding your hand the entire time. As you progress through your run, you will choose your destination on a randomly generated map. Each node will be tied to a specific event. Like a lot of things in this game, this is very clearly inspired by Slay the Spire, and I think the implementation is incredibly well done. Your choices for fights will vary from normal, special, and elite fights. Each of these nodes varies in difficulty level. The higher the level, the greater the rewards. Completing a fight will give you rewards that will typically consist of gold, trophies, items, and heroes, with the elite rooms offering a relic reward as well. The trophies will be used to level up your heroes, giving them new passives and stat bonuses. This is a system that I honestly kind of forget to interact with pretty regularly. However, as I continue to play the game, I have started to build up muscle memory to check how many trophies I have and allocate them when necessary. As it stands, there is a system in place to highlight that you have some unspent trophies, but I'm not sure that it's really enough considering all of the systems that you're trying to divide your attention between. As I mentioned a moment ago, you'll receive relics as rewards for elite rooms and boss fights, and these are global run-altering items that will have various effects. Finding relics that synergize with your current lineup of heroes can sometimes be challenging, but there are also relics that offer neutral benefits that can be valuable regardless of the type of build you are running. There are quite a lot of options available for relics. Some are simply passive items, some interactable and allow you to use them for various effects, some of which are single use and others can be used an unlimited amount of times. When you inevitably bite off more than you can chew, don't worry. If your party dies, your run doesn't end there. Your life in the game is determined by the amount of flame that you have. This resource is used in multiple ways and is more than just your health bar. You'll be in a constant balancing act of trying to maintain your flame level for fights and enhancing or re-rolling your items. I love it when games make your life in the game tied to other decisions, giving each one some weight and meaning. On top of the fighting nodes, you will also come across events, campfires, and shops. These nodes are pretty straightforward. The events are random and can be good or bad. If you fancy yourself a gambling man, you'll find these quite appealing. For instance, you could stumble across an event that gives you gold and trophies, but at a cost. For the next 2 fights, your heroes lose 25% attack speed. These kinds of trade-offs make the decisions feel like they have consequences and can be the difference between winning or losing a run. Campfires are a node that allow you to recuperate some of your flame, enhance your items to the next rarity at the cost of some of your flame, and pick an origin, which are global buffs for your party. The shops will allow you to spend the gold that you've earned to buy new items and recipes, as well as dismantle items that you've already forged. At first, I didn't really understand the point of dismantling, but you're able to get the recipe and the item associated with it back and then reforge it with a new item if you found something better. I don't think the importance of this system is really highlighted or explained that well, and actually caused me to ignore it altogether for a long time while playing the game. As you complete rooms and visit shops, you will find items and recipes of various rarities. The system is very neat and makes putting a build together very rewarding. The items you receive will offer your heroes stat bonuses, and you'll need to forge them together with the rarer recipes in order to make a more powerful item that has much stronger effects. Experimenting with this system has honestly been my favorite part about the game. It is really satisfying to get the right synergies and find something that is really strong. Now, while there are a lot of things that this game does incredibly well, and I honestly think that it has a ton of potential, there are some areas where I think there could be some improvement. The first of which is going to be enemy indicators, or lack thereof. I found having to click on the enemies individually and read a wall of text to figure out what they were going to do incredibly overwhelming as a new player. I personally think the most eloquent solution to this would be to have a toggleable option available that allows you to have a visual representation of what the enemy intends to do. The other thing that I believe will get fixed over time as the developer is able to see the game played by a larger sample size is going to be the balancing. There are quite a few things that are incredibly overtuned and some things that just don't work at all. One of the things that is glaringly obvious to me is the inability to put together a team composition without a dedicated healer or shielding support, and there just aren't that many options available for these. The self-sustaining tanks just do not work very well in their current state. You have to get pretty lucky and find some really strong items to make them tanky at all. That being said, with the addition of new heroes and reworking how the self-sustaining tanks work, I think this could be easily fixed. There are a few heroes that I know the developer is already looking into to prevent some of the really broken builds that we saw during the prologue, which I think is a step in the right direction. Overall, I would say that in the game's current state, the ease of your success is going to be determined by how you do in the drafting phase of your run. I would be really interested to see the ability to reroll your draft picks in exchange for some of your flame, even if it was limited to just 1 or 2 rerolls to help alleviate some of these issues. I also want to quickly touch on some things that I want to see added to the game. The first of which is going to be a roadmap. I think this can really help shape the development of a game and give it some meaningful direction. Something that the developers of Astral Ascent did that I think could be really beneficial here is a poll that was held in their Discord for potential features that the community then got to vote on and then use that feedback to help develop their roadmap. One such feature that I could see being really good here are daily challenges. This is very common in this sort of game, and I think it would work really well with the systems that are already set up. I think if you added a leaderboard to the system and perhaps put one on each of the other game modes at the max difficulty level, it would give people a reason to continue playing the game long after they've already completed everything. The last thing that I think this game would really benefit from is a bit of variety in how we unlock new items for our codex. As it stands, completing runs will grant you some experience, and then you will unlock a big group of items and heroes that are all tied together thematically, which I think is very neat, and I actually really like this system. However, moving forward, it would be nice to see some unlocks that are tied to achieving specific things within the game, such as a legendary recipe that gives you big benefits to defense, being unlocked once you complete the achievement Finish a Fight with a hero that has at least 400 defense. This could work really well with heroes as well, and would make getting these achievements far more meaningful. The visuals and audio are an area that is pretty impeccable. I've seen some comments that it looks like a mobile game, but I think its simplicity is part of the charm. There's a very clear and consistent art style, and I think the developer really nailed this aspect of the game. All of the characters have really interesting and unique designs that align with their overall theme. Some of the items are a little basic in design, but overall I would say that they are representative of what they are trying to portray, and considering the sheer number of items and characters, making them all unique and interesting would be a tall order for any developer team, let alone just one person. The enemy design is pretty solid as well, with a pretty wide variety of different enemies that all have unique designs. The bosses are enormous and menacing, and there has clearly been a lot of love and effort put into the design as a whole. I'm interested to see what the developer comes up with for new boss variants, enemy types, as well as characters, considering what he's managed to accomplish already. The visual effects are flashy and fun to look at, which does a pretty good job at keeping you engaged. The sound effects are simple, but overall they are pleasant and more than serviceable for this sort of game. The music does a good job at setting the mood of the game and really suits the overall design, and was one of the things that caught me by surprise by just how well it helps immerse you in the world that the developer has created. As far as the length of a run goes, this is one of those games that is going to take a lot longer when you are first starting out, since there are so many systems and decisions. As you familiarize yourself with the different systems and start to be able to recognize different things without having to read through what they do, it will obviously cut down your run time by quite a bit. That being said, as I became a little more familiar with the game, the runs would last anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. The replayability of this game, as it stands, is actually ridiculous. After every run, you'll be itching for another one. There are several game modes available with a variety of different difficulty levels. Once you've completed all of those, there are 55 different heroes, 120 relics, 55 origins, and 250 items for you to play around with, not to mention the randomly generated maps, making every run different. I think you could easily sink 100 hours into this game and still not be bored, and as the developer expands on the systems that have already been made, it will make that number even higher. As you can tell, I would definitely recommend The Last Flame. It's a great addition to the roguelike genre and is a very polished experience even in early access. I do think that there are some areas of the game that could use some work, and given the developer's passion for the game, I definitely think that they will come in time. That being said, since this is an early access title, I will likely revisit the game here on the channel with each major content update. I will also do an updated review once the game leaves early access. Thanks for stopping by today. I sincerely appreciate it. If you found the video helpful or entertaining, I would be humbled if you would leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know what you think of The Last Flame down in the comments if you've already given it a try, and there's a link to the community Discord in the description if you'd like to continue the conversation over there as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.